A marriage ends in divorce when there's 10,000 fights that haven't been had. And I'm not just guessing at that number. It's like, let's say your marriage isn't going very well, and so you have 5 uncomfortable quasi-disputes a day. Mm-hmm. Just to pick a number. Maybe it's 50, maybe it's 3, whatever. 5 will do. Well, that's $1,500 a year. Okay, now you just aggregate that over, let's say, the 10 years it takes your marriage to collapse. Well, you've got something approximating 10,000 fights you didn't have. That's 10,000 times you remained silent when you had something to say. And they all aggregate. And then every time, once you've collected the first 5,000, then every time you have a dispute, all 5,000 are lurking behind that dispute. And the fact of their existence makes it much less likely that you'll say what you have to say. That's the reemergence of the dragon of chaos as a consequence of fleeing from your fate. That's exactly right.
Last time we spoke, you said something which stayed with me, and I've actually forwarded it to a few of my friends on this particular subject. You said to me, you're going to have to sit and spend 90 minutes a week speaking to your partner.
So annoying.
It's so annoying. It's so annoying, but it's so important. And so many of my friends that have relationship difficulties, I send them this little 4-minute clip I have on my phone of you saying that, because the 90-minute, no, it might be 95 minutes, it might be 85 minutes, but the concept of you need to sit down and create a space where she or he or whatever can tell you what they've noticed.
Why they don't like you.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, it's especially, I don't think that you can really establish the kind of relationship with a woman that you want with anything in the road. Like, it's hard for women to give themselves to men, and no wonder. It's amazing they ever do it. They have a lot on the line. What are the preconditions for that offering? Peace and security. You can tell if the territory is being cleared because play emerges. Right, play emerges. And play is a very fragile motivational state. It can be disrupted by almost anything. So if there are impediments to understanding, play will not arise, and then you don't have the romantic adventure that you want. It's grudging, right? You don't have a voluntary partner. And that's a very hard thing to attain, right? That full voluntary partnership. That means that you're in sync with each other. Mm-hmm. You can't expect that to be easy. You can't even be in sync with yourself. Like, it's hard. And you need to keep each other up to date. You need to know what's going on. You need to iron out the sources of discomfort or distrust. And that there's a lot of Dante's Inferno.
What's that?
Dante's Inferno is a characterization of hell by Dante. It's one of the most famous poems ever written, and it's you can think about it as what you have to do to get to the bottom of things. So let's say that you have a dispute with your wife, and it's a recurring dispute, right? It's an issue. You have an issue. Well, do you want to address the issue? It's like, do you want to do surgery without anesthetic? Like, it's the same question. Addressing an issue is a journey into the abyss. Dante placed Satan at the bottom of hell, right? So that's the figure of malevolence itself, encased in ice and frozen, so immobile, surrounded by those who betray. That's the lowest level of hell. Why? Well, it's often the case that if you journey into an issue,
spiral down
to the bottom, you'll find betrayal. Right? Because maybe your partner doesn't trust you because she was betrayed. Highly probable. Highly probable. Or her grandmother was betrayed. Like, there's bad blood between men and women.
Can you ever solve for that? So if I'm in a situation where my partner doesn't trust me because she was betrayed, whether it's something I did or whatever, how do you ever get rid of the devil at the bottom of the spiral?
Well, you have to find out that it's there. Okay, that's a hard question. You both have to want to. That's the first thing. That's the setting of the aim. What do we want? We want to play forever in God's heavenly garden. How about that? That's a metaphorical representation, right? That's a walled garden. That's the human environment. The walls are the walls of your house. The garden is nature displaying itself in its beauty within boundaries. That's a place that play can take place. That's what you want. You got to think about it. What do you want? Okay, so now we might ask, what do you mean want? Okay, if you were taking care of yourself and you could have what was good for you, what would that be? Now that's a hard question, right? You're gonna have to think about that for a long time. What would satisfy someone as miserable and resentful and useless as me? Right? If I could have it. Now they don't even want to address that issue because part of the problem with making your aim clear is you know when you're failing. And people would rather keep the evidence of their failure obscured from themselves, even if it meant continued failure. But now let's say you decide not to do that. You're going to think, okay, I'm going to aim high. I'm going to take care of myself. Okay, now your wife's on board with that. Now that's really what the marital vow is in the final analysis. Most deeply is the willingness to participate in that game. Now you have to tell each other the truth. What the hell do you want? Well, she doesn't know, neither do you, not really. So you got to start digging, finding out, and noticing. It's like now and then you'll see that you're happy with each other, and maybe it'll happen kind of randomly. You'll be out in some, I don't know, maybe you're at a restaurant or you've gone for a walk or who knows, and you'll notice, oh, this is going well. It's like, oh yeah, this is going well. What are we doing right? Could we take that little episode and could we start to expand it? You know, because one of the things you can do in a marriage is you can notice when things are going well, and then you can have a chat with each other and say, look, I don't know what we did during this period of time, but let's see if we can figure it out. See if we could do like 10% more of that next week or 1% more, and then just make that expand. You can do that too by, you know, hypothetically at some point, if you're married, at some point you were in love with your wife. You can remember that. You have to remember that. You have to practice remembering that. You have to practice bringing it to mind and occupying that. Because when you first fall in love, it kind of happens to you, right? That's a gift. But you have to, in order for that to last, you have to become an expert at it. You have to become an expert at it. You have to take it on as a responsibility. It's offered as a gift, but then you have to take it on as a responsibility. Then you have to practice. It's like, oh yes, I love this person. And if you don't at the moment, you have to think, well, I did, and I could, so why don't I? Is it me? That's probably, it's you. Might be them too, but you might as well start with you. I mean, you've got lots of flaws, you can start with those.
What if you just made a bad decision? As in, like, the person you picked, you think they're not compatible?
Well,
Would you stay
that's a tough one, eh? Because you're not really compatible with anyone. You know, people think, well, I'll find the right person. It's like, first of all, no, you won't. Second, if you found the right person and they ever saw you, they just run away screaming. So it's just, the whole conceptual scheme is wrong. Like, when I was on tour, there was one 3-day period where the same question emerged from the audience, because I do a Q&A 3 nights in a row. How do I find the person that's right for me? And I tried answering it. And by the 3rd night, I thought, oh, I know why I can't answer this question. It's because it's a stupid question. It's badly formulated, like profoundly badly formulated, fatally badly formulated. It's not the right question. The right question is, how can I learn to offer something to someone else that would make me eminently desirable? That's a way different question. Like, they're not even in the same conceptual universe. And it's the right question because you can build yourself into a person that people would line up to be with. How? Well, have you done it? To some, well,
You told me not
you're
to
very
be.
successful, right? You're increasingly successful.
Your book warns against narcissism, Jordan. So.
Yeah, there's a difference between narcissism and giving the devil his due. Let's pull back a little bit. What have you done right?
I have focused on myself for a long time. And
Okay, what does that mean?
It means I fortified myself financially.
Okay,
So that I can support others. I can support family.
so that's not exactly focusing on yourself.